Before starting the video, I just want to take a moment to thank Leviathan, one of the most incredible supporters of this channel. Your comments aren't just words, they're a reminder of why I keep creating. Every time I feel stuck, wondering if my work really matters, I see your name pop up, encouraging me, pushing me forward. It's hard to put into words how much that means. Knowing that someone out there truly enjoys what I do makes all the effort, all the long nights, and all the doubts completely worth it. So from the bottom of my heart, thank you, Leviathan. When I started this channel, it wasn't just about reading stories. It was about bringing them to life in a way that felt different, more immersive, more accessible. I've always loved these kinds of stories, but I know not everyone has the time or patience to sit down and read through them. I wanted to change that, to make these incredible tales easier to experience. And seeing this small community grow, seeing people like you engage with the stories, connect with them, and even share your own thoughts, it means everything. So if you're watching this and you love these kinds of stories too, I'd love for you to be part of this journey. Consider subscribing and hitting the like button. It's a small action, but it makes a huge difference. And to those of you who have been here from the start, just know that your support isn't just noticed, it's felt. Every single day. Now let's dive into the story. First of all, I want to say that I feel like Halloween can be really scary for kids. And that's not because of the costumes and decorations. It's because you're going out in the middle of the night, walking around far from home, talking to strangers at every doorstep. Of course, it was still a fun holiday that everyone would look forward to, but I think there was a common uneasiness deep beneath it all. Anyways, when I was a kid, I would get a weird feeling sometimes. It rarely ever happened, but I remember every time that it did, I'd be playing outside, just going about my day, when I came across a path that I'd never seen before. It was totally empty, and I couldn't tell where it led. I would suddenly realize that I had wandered away from whoever was looking after me, and I was completely alone. For a brief moment, it was just me and this empty path in front of me. In that moment, I would be completely overcome with emotion. I can't define it as positive or negative, just that it felt important. Those moments always stuck with me, but I still don't know why. Now, I'm only explaining this because it directly ties to what I'm about to describe. See, back in elementary school, there was a popular story that kids would pass around on the week of Halloween. As the story goes, you shouldn't go out too long trick-or-treating because eventually you'll reach something you're not meant to see, a road at the edge of town. It was never described in any consistent way, just that you'll know it when you see it. They say this road is a portal to another dimension, one where everything is slightly different, like a bizarro world. Once you go down the road, you can never go back. I never really understood what that meant at the time, but this story still struck a chord with me, especially because that feeling came most often in the fall when the weather was moody. For a while, it took a lot to keep that off my mind every Halloween, but I eventually got over it and it rarely crossed my mind after that. So, fast forward to 2014. I'm 11 and going out to trick-or-treat in my stormtrooper costume. I met up with my next-door neighbor, who was also my best friend at the time. For the sake of anonymity, let's call him James. It's me, James, and 2 other friends from school. We went around the neighborhood, hitting all the usual spots and occasionally getting checked in on by my parents. Our biggest concern was making sure to visit the houses that always give the best candy. After an hour or 2, we'd stopped at every house we knew, but being in the oldest grade at our elementary school, basically full-grown adults, we all felt confident enough to push our borders a bit. So after James called his parents to make sure they were cool with it, we checked out some new streets, From what I can remember, we found some good houses, but nothing that exciting. About 30 minutes later, we were at the end of a cul-de-sac, and everyone was getting pretty tired, so we started talking about heading back. That's when I saw something weird, a gravel trail leading up a hill nearby. Normally, I would have wanted nothing to do with something like that, but I was suddenly overcome with curiosity. I don't know how to describe it. It's like I was in a trance. I asked my friends if they wanted to go check it out, but everyone felt too tired to walk up the hill. So against my better judgment, I told them I'd be back in a minute and made my way over. I reached the top of the hill, and that's when I saw it. The trail kept going, leading straight into the pitch-black woods. I got that same feeling, stronger than ever before. In that moment, I had every reason to turn back, but I just couldn't. After all those moments I'd had, I guess I just couldn't take the curiosity anymore. I continued down the trail, following it as it twisted and turned deeper into the forest. I should have felt terrified, but I didn't. For some reason, the presence of anything else on the trail didn't even seem like a remote possibility. I had no doubt in my mind that I was completely alone. For such a pivotal moment, I feel like every detail should be burned in my head, but all I remember is the dead silence and the silhouettes of the trees against the night sky. Next thing I remember, I was back at the entrance. I must have gone in a full loop without realizing it. Whatever trance I was in faded away, and I made my way back down the hill. I expected to get an earful about how long I was gone, but my friends didn't say anything about it. We just went back, watched a movie together, and called it a night. There were some minor things that I could have sworn had changed, like the color of my carpet and the name of the neighborhood park, but even at the time I easily chalked that up to paranoia. However, thinking back on it now, I realize that was the same time when things started changing in my life. I don't want to get too personal, but I've dealt with a lot of things that I shouldn't have had to at that age. I often feel like nothing's ever been the same after that night. Not only that, but that was the last time I ever got that strange feeling. I've never had it since. I also never heard that same Halloween story again, but that could just be because people felt like they were too old for it at that point. Strangest of all, nearly everyone that I've told about this has had a similar story, including the dark turn of events shortly afterwards. I've heard stories of divorces, traumatic accidents, and even the deaths of loved ones, all taking place soon after they crossed the path, and all sending their lives down a darker track. It's a long shot, but maybe this is a place that none of us are from. Even if we can't remember it, we all came here at some point, walking down that same path. I try not to get too hung up about it. Whatever the case is, I'm here now, and I might as well make the best of it. I suggest you all do the same, so please enjoy the season and everyone after it. Wishing you all a happy Halloween.